All right, welcome. So this is day 2 of No War 2025, World Beyond War's annual conference. And we are starting with a performance by spoken word poet L. Jones. I do want to say that you will see a globe icon at the bottom of your screen for interpretation. And so you can tune in the Spanish or English channel. The poetry will not be interpreted, but we will be interpreting the second session today, the panel on case studies of abolition. So we'll give you further instructions about that when we get to that panel. So I'd like to pass the mic to Sakura Saunders to introduce this session.
All right. Hello, everybody. Um, just wanted to say that it's my honor to present Elle Jones as our next presenter and performer. She's a spoken word poet, educator, award-winning journalist, and community activist living in African Nova Scotia. She's a former poet laureate and a local treasure, often found supporting every social movement in Halifax as a highlight at protests and gatherings with her wit, words, and insight. While supporting every movement for justice and liberation, she is a leader in prison and abolition movements as a behind-the-scenes organizer, academic, and movement leader. She is a co-founder of the Black Power Hour, a live radio show with incarcerated people, and grounds her activism with a strong connection to those most impacted by the systems she seeks to abolish. Please welcome Elle Jones.
Thank you, Saku. It's so good to see you online. Good afternoon, everybody. Greetings. They sit in their newsrooms with their mics and their wires. Night by night, all they bring us are one-sided liars. CBC's bias, they don't even hide it, shouldn't surprise us. They're all colonizers. Don't get on the air unless you sing in their choirs. One by one, all the Muslim journalists fire. And Palestine's children are burning in fire, while protesters arrested for putting up flyers. Arrest us for chants from the sea to the river. Every word that we use ends up forbidden. They say Palestinians aren't even existing. Trudeau thought that genocide's surely a winner. They called the police for interrupting their dinner. Our politicians take money to visit the killers. They go on vacation, so now they stay quiet, while Palestine's children are burning in fire. They're sending our taxes to weapon sellers and buyers. Every day of this occupation, their profits go higher. We send our police to be trained by advisors who roam the West Bank as terrorizers. And inside Israel's prisons of thousands of minors and women in prison without even a trial, living with checkpoints inside of those wires, they cut off the food and all the supplies. And no anesthesia for surgery either. If you show any joy, you just might expire. They're adding the doctors to funeral pyres. They're killing the journalists and banning the writers, and even the olives on the branches are dying. They tell us their plans are to leave no survivors. They say no one is innocent, not even in diapers, so Palestine's children are burning in fire. Israel's resumed bombing and dropping their shells. They've kidnapped more people to put in their cells. In the West Bank, where no Hamas dwells, a pregnant woman, they say, is a 2-for-1 kill. And who's there to stop them? Nobody can tell. Trump is all in saying Gaza farewell, and we voted for settlements at the UN and will keep saying Israel's right to defend, while every half hour another child dead. And if you play soccer, they'll shoot for your legs. Shireen Abu Akleh, they shot in the head, and they'll wage all this war without our consent. So be careful what products you buy off the shelf. Don't let propaganda put you under a spell, and I hope Henry Kissinger's burning in hell, along with all the war criminals who run this empire, will force all these murdering scumbags to retire, because Palestine's children are dying in fire. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to do 2 more poems very quickly. This is a oldie but a goodie. This is from our security forums, which take place every year, where we invite in all the warmongers into Halifax at this hotel called the Westin, and they put snipers on the roof to prevent us from protesting. We built this city. We built this city on land we stole. Built this city. We built this city on land we stole. We built this city on Cornwallis and Britain. We built this city on colonialism, built on Mi'kmaq land without permission. We built this city with ammunition. And now that it's risen, we build it on prisons. We're building off mental disease and addictions. No industry left, so we build on tourism. We're building a city of militarism. And off-record panels inside of the Westin by Western officials with global ambitions, build with taxpayers' dollars but deny us admission. New defense minister building with McKay's traditions. We're building on rhetoric of change and transition, while behind closed doors it's the same old position. We build interventions and armed expeditions. We claim bombing campaigns are human rights propositions. We built up Trudeau, build with liberalism, same military, same wars, just new government edition. We build while Indigenous women go missing. They build over bagpipes and lobster dinners, and then they go home and build nuclear winter. We built this city on capitalism. We build TPP and free trade propositions. We build Walmarts to push out local competitions, build cheap Chinese goods in sweatshop conditions. We build the economy, global acquisitions, send jobs offshore, unemployment decisions, used up all the coal, cut the trees, overfishing, build up the North End, Africville demolition. We're building off poverty, armed forces, enlistment, can't get a job so you get a commission, build up the shipyards to Irving's conditions, ships start here, so we're building off wishing. Still building off Harper, although we dismissed him, we're gentrifying the projects on that $300 billion. We're building this city on military missions, building weapons and warships to use on brown children. We build off the blood of Afghans and Libyans. We're building with drone strikes on Yemen and Syrians. Collateral damage, we take out civilians. We build global war over pipeline positions. We're building this city on carbon emissions. We're building a cycle of radicalism. We tortured Arar, extraordinary rendition. We built occupations, just changed definitions. We helped to build ISIS, historical revision. We built Boko Haram to get oil from Nigerians. We build instability, build opposition. We destabilize the Mideast, societal demolition. We build arms trade with the Saudis, geopolitical divisions. We fight proxy wars by our allies' decisions. We're one of the willing. We build coalitions with the US and NATO and Israel politicians. We help to build settlements, walls, and partitions, build an open-air prison in Gaza for Palestinians. We're building in Africa new colonial mission, build a security state from the war on terrorism, cyber surveillance built by government technicians. We built a spy network, the new Inquisition. We're building a world where we all are suspicious. We're building two classes of Canadian citizens. We build Islamophobia and Hate Crimes Commission. We build off a racist immigration point system. We build off the tattoo military tradition. Lockheed Martin on campus helps bill our tuition. We say we're building new weapons to strike with precision, building new drones with facial recognition. We're building an economy on death and attrition. We're building new treaties on nuclear fission. We build NGOs, then we send in tacticians. We use foreign aid to build imperialism. We build occupations and call it assistance. We build cholera, refugee camps, malnutrition. We build piles of dead bodies and decompositions. We built a new world from 9/11 fruition. We're building this world off of war repetition. The theater of war is an endless audition. We build Al-Qaeda. We're building militias. We build retaliation, a cycle so vicious. New York, Beirut, Paris, Marly, and Garissa. Military strikes, just further ignition. We build global war and there's no intermission. We're building ourselves out of human existence, and we're not bystanders. We're not on a mission, because don't you hear that radio transmission? Don't you remember? Take it back to the beginning. We built this city. We built this city on land we stole. Built this city. We built this city on land we stole. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to do one more poem. That poem's so exhausting. Okay, this one's got call and response for you. So you can say the chorus if you want. This one's pretty, I'll try and keep it short because I know we're moving on in time. They say there's one rule for the few, and another for the many. Trillions of dollars for the banks, and the poor get not a penny. And they've convinced us all that the crumbs they give are plenty, and that's why people in Alberta elected Jason Kenney. Well, that and that they always have some brown folk as the enemy. When Indigenous people block the pipelines, they send the military. And there's lead all in the water, but is water necessary? And you can't even afford the plot in your family cemetery. But just blame the immigrants in the media commentary. They voted in Doug Ford because his brothers seem so friendly. And they'll sell you dollar beers while your pension fund stays empty. Don't have any savings while your banker drives a Bentley. They hold up billionaires as the people we should envy. Children in this country can't put breakfast in their belly. People on assistance can't even pay to ride the ferry. They make billions off the weapons that are used against Yemenis, but if you possess a gun, well, then the courts will give you 20. When corporations violate, the government won't condemn them because there's one law for the people, but for the rich, the laws are bendy. And you end your life in debt and the burden is too heavy, so your kids go off to foreign countries where they end up buried. So to the killers at the top, not one more drop. Generals, guards, and cops, not one more drop. And they plunder, steal, and rob. And they strip us of our jobs. But we will not join their mobs. Not one more drop. Not one more drop of poor and working class blood for their capitalistic wars. So they send the working class to die in wars they can't find in the atlas. Military surplus goes to cops who use black men as target practice. They keep the oil wells running, guarded by private military contractors, while the sanctions they impose killed millions of Iraqis. In their black site prisons, locals tortured by their captors, but then they say that terrorism was caused by other factors. Military budget keeps exploding like a nuclear reactor, while the livelihood of ordinary people broken into fractures. They'll offer luxury condos to the Toronto Raptors, while the homeless on the street can't even find a benefactor. When WikiLeaks showed their crimes, they imprisoned all the hackers and they fire all the athletes who tell us Black Lives Matter. But the war machine keeps rolling like wheat into a tractor. Hollywood propaganda, we've got snipers played by actors, and they tell us hope and change came with President Obama, so the people vote again for their neoliberal masters. Don't even watch the news. It's all corporate paid chatter, all designed for you to serve your children on a platter. Slavery is a choice, says another foolish rapper, and now Amazon's invested, so your doorbell is a tracker. While the workers are on food stamps, death row is getting blacker, preaching prosperity gospel so you're brainwashed by your pastor. Corporations making money after every environmental disaster. They sent the UN troops to Haiti and spread cholera in the water. And so there's endless war and endless blood that splatters. Syria, Afghanistan, Somalia is all another chapter. And there's always some brown person that they'll say is the attacker, and every politician paid by corporate backers. So to the killers at the top, not one more drop. Generals, guards, and cops, not one more drop. And they plunder, steal, and rob. And they strip us of our jobs. But we will not join their mob. Not one more drop. Not one more drop of poor and working class blood for their capitalistic wars. Not one more drop of black and working class blood for their imperialistic wars. Thank you, everybody. I just dropped my phone. Have a good conference. Take care. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.